Measurement. Measurement is the act of using numeric numbers to describe physical quantities. Physical quantities refer to measurable properties of matter. Some common examples of physical quantities are length, mass, area, time, temperature, volume, density. Classification of physical quantities. Physical quantities can be classified into two types, which are base quantities, derived quantities. Base quantities. These are original quantities that are not dependent or derived from other quantities. However, these quantities can be used to derive or obtain other quantities. Some examples of base quantities are length, mass, time, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity. Derived quantities. Derived quantities are quantities that are gotten from a combination of two or more quantities. Units of derived quantities are called derived units. Some examples of derived quantities are volume, density, area, velocity, power, force. Length. Length is the distance between 2 points. Some of the instruments for measuring length are tape measure, ruler, vernier calipers, micrometer, screw gauge, etc. The unit of measurement for measuring length is meters. It can be expressed into various units as follows. Mass. Mass is the quantity of matter contained in an object. Mass is measured in various instruments which include beam balance, lever balance, etc. The unit for measuring mass is grams. It can be expressed into various other units as follows. Time. Time tells us duration. It is used to tell how long it takes to complete an activity. Clocks and watches are used to tell time. The unit of measurement for time is seconds. Other units are expressed as follows. Temperature. Temperature is used to tell the hotness or coldness of a thing or a place. Thermometers are the instruments used for measuring temperature, and the unit for measuring temperature is Kelvin or degrees Celsius. Area is used to measure the size of a flat surface of an object. The unit of measuring area includes centimeter square. We are going to learn how to calculate areas of some plane figures such as square, rectangle, triangle, circle. Finding area. Below are the formulas for calculating the areas of some plane figures. Area of a square is calculated as length times length or length square. Area of a rectangle is calculated as length times breadth. Area of triangle is calculated as a half times breadth times perpendicular height. Area of a circle is calculated as pi r square, where is the radius, which is half of the diameter. Pi is usually given as 22/7 or 3.14. Example. Find the area of a square with side 6 meters. Solution. Area of square is equal to length times breadth, where length is the same measurement as the breadth, which is equal to 6 meters. The area thus is equal to 6 times 6, which gives us 36 meters square. Another example. The area of an MTN scratch card was given as 600 millimeters square. If its length is 30 millimeters, find its breadth. Solution. Area of a rectangle is given as length times breadth. To find the breadth, you cross-multiply to get breadth equals area over length. Where the length has been given as 30 millimeters, and the area equal to 600 millimeters square. The breadth therefore is 600/30, which gives us 20 millimeters. Another example. Calculate the area of a circle whose diameter is 14 centimeters. The pi is given as 22/7. Solution. Area of circle is pi r square. The radius, r, is half of the diameter, thus it's 7 centimeters. Area of the circle will therefore be 22 divided by 7, times 7 times 7. When we cancel out, we will have 22 times 7, which gives us 154 centimeters square. Volume. Volume refers to the total space occupied by an object. The unit for measuring volume is meters cube, liters, etc. The volume of a liquid is usually measured by a measuring cylinder. Calculating volume. Below are the formulas for calculating the volumes of some regular shapes. Volume of a cube is calculated as length times length times length. Volume of a cuboid is calculated as length times breadth times height. Volume of a cone is calculated as pi r square, h, where r is the radius and h is the perpendicular height. Pi is usually given as 22/7, or 3.14. Volume of a cone is calculated as 1/3 pi r square, h, where r is the radius and h is the perpendicular height. Pi is usually given as 22/7, or 3.14. Example. Find the volume of a cylinder with height 7 cm and radius 4 cm. Solution. Volume of a cylinder is given as pi r square h. Putting pi equals 22/7, height equals 7 and radius equals 4 into the equation, we will have our volume to be 22/7 times 4 square times 7. This gives us 22/7 times 4 times 4 times 7, which is equal to 352 centimeters cube. Another example. Find the volume of a cube if its length is 2 meters. Solution. Volume of a cube is given as length times length times length. Our length is given as 2 meters. Thus, our volume will be 2 times 2 times 2. And that gives us 8 centimeters cube as our answer. Another example. Find the volume of a cone with height 14 cm and diameter 6 cm. Solution. Volume of a cylinder is calculated as 1 over pi r square h, with r representing the radius, and h standing for perpendicular height. In our question, we were given height to be 14 cm, and radius, which is half of our diameter, as 3 cm. Putting these, as well as pi of 22 over 7 into the equation, we will have our volume to be 1 over 3 times 22 over 7 times 3 square times 14. When we simplify, we will arrive at 132 centimeters cube as our volume for the cone. Therefore, the volume of the cylinder is 132 centimeters cube. Volume of irregular object. Irregular objects can be difficult to measure compared to every regular solid. However, it can be measured using a method known as displacement. This method involves putting the object in water, and measuring the change in the level of water. Density. The density of an object is its mass divided by its volume. The density is the mass per volume of an object. That is to say that when you want to find the density of an object, you find the mass and volume. Its unit of measurement is gram per centimeter cube. Density helps us find out how pure a substance is. The density of a clean water is 1 gram per centimeter cube. When the density of water is greater or less than 1, then the water is not a pure water. If the density of an object is greater than 1, it will sink when the object is placed in water. However, if the density of the object is less than 1, then the object will float when placed in water. You can conduct this experiment using as many different objects as possible. First, measure their respective masses and volumes. Calculate their respective densities and note which objects have a density less than 1 against the objects with a density greater than 1. You can lower these objects in a container containing water, and note the objects that float in water against those that do not. You will notice that those whose densities are less than 1 float in water, while those whose densities are greater than 1, sink in water.